Hi, good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well. I'm going to start in a few minutes once we get more people on.
Good
Can you hear me
evening.
okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Hello, yes.
Hi, Avi. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Well, how are you?
Quite all right.
Hi, Avi. Thank you for all your help.
Sure.
Yes.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot. Yes.
Thank you for everything.
Mhm.
Miss Joanna, I hope they don't see me. Come here.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I think we'll get started now. So first of all, thank you all for joining the course, and I just want to commend all of you for the work that you put in for the QuickBooks course and how much effort you put into that. A large part of the course from the JCC, Greater Coney Island, is not only the training of the training for the QuickBooks, but it's also for job employment and for career opportunities. So that's something that we're going to work with you, and we've reached out to some of you already. We would love to work with you as we move forward. And I know that Pesach is coming up, so it might be a little bit difficult, but after Pesach, full steam ahead. We'll be working with you in regards to getting you all set up with employment opportunities. Now, in order to portray yourself in the perfect way, and an important piece of careers is that of resume writing, right? As we all know, the importance of that. So we have brought on Mr. Richard Hauptman, who the JCC has worked with him for many, many years, and he's really, really a master at his craft. And a resume could make or break a lot of things. There are a lot of people who have terrific careers and bring a wealth of knowledge, but the resume doesn't reflect it and harms them. So resume is really your baseball card, so to speak, to the world around you. And as we all know, we used to collect them. Not sure if kids still collect baseball cards, but it has all the stats and it has you. And you look at a baseball card and say, wow, unbelievable. And looking back, and this is their rookie card. That's something which carries a lot of weight. And resumes are the same as that. And in today's world with LinkedIn as well, but Richard is going to speak about that. So please, this is going to be about a 45-minute, half an hour to 45-minute class. We'll also take questions at the end. And without further ado, Richard, the floor is yours.
Avi, first of all, thank you, Avi, and the JCC for this opportunity and for all the good work you do. And Avi, yes, baseball cards are still relevant. My son actually buys them and sells them on eBay and he's a teenager, so yeah, they're relevant still today. But thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining. Bear with me. I have a little cold, so if I cough a little bit, please bear with me. To give you a minute background of why the JC asked me to help out and what I can do to help, I actually graduated from Queens College with a degree in economics. My first job out of college, I worked at Bear Stearns on the trading floor, which, Bear Stearns is no longer around. Then I switched to TD Waterhouse, which is on TD Ameritrade, as a broker, but then I said I wanted to switch to something new. So then I went to become a recruiter for over 10 years for a firm doing compliance and legal. So that's where I got my expertise in resumes. And I've seen thousands and thousands of resumes throughout my career. And I've helped numerous people. I got hundreds of people employment. And then after the crash in 2008, I went to become a human resources and finance for a medical supply company for nursing homes, which I still do today. So that is why Avi and the JC asked me to help you guys with the resumes, interviewing. I've also written numerous articles about resume writing, job interviewing skills. I've spoken at conferences and I volunteer for numerous organizations. So that is why I'm hoping that even though it's a 30-minute, 45-minute class, questions at the end, but at the end, I'm also going to give you my phone number and email address. So any questions you have, any help you need with your resume, any help you need with a job interview, I've done mock interviews with hundreds of people. I've helped negotiate people's contracts if they once they get employment, salaries, vacation, whatever it is. So that is why Avi and the JC asked me to come on tonight and be able to help you. So, like Avi said, the resume is your baseball card. That is the most important thing to get a job, because that's the first thing that the hiring manager or HR sees. There's a New York Times article 10 years ago that said that a HR manager looks at a resume for 7 seconds before they decide to move on to the next one. So if you don't catch their eye in the first 7 seconds, they're throwing it out. Also, an HR manager or a hiring manager can spot a mistake literally in 1 second. You can have a resume, you can say my resume is perfect. Trust me, they can spot even one period or one spelling mistake like that. And that shows unprofessionalism on your part. And it shows that you didn't take the time and the due diligence to be able to do your resume the right way. And they're going to throw that out too. So that's why it's very important to have, I won't say perfect resume because that's very hard to get, but we'll go through all that stuff. So like I said, thank you for joining us again. The first thing I want to do is, Avi has slide number 1. Now please forgive me. I was told about this yesterday afternoon, so I put together slides in 5 minutes, guys. So if it doesn't look professional or something's missing, blame Avi. Not just not me.
Now,
So
guilty
slide-
as charged. Just give me 1 second and I will.
Right.
we'll get
So
it-
I
get
was
it
gonna get
running.
slide number 1 up. I would do it, guys, but my computer at home is broken. That's why I'm doing it from the phone. So I sent the slides to Avi so he can be able to post them, put them up so we can follow along. And if it doesn't go up, here we go.
No. Wait, hold on. Give me 1 second, please. Sorry.
And Avi, if it doesn't work, I could just read it to them. So it's not.
I'll get it up.
And if anyone needs any of them, I can email to them afterwards.
Let me know if this is coming.
There we go. Slide number 1.
Is my entire screen showing or just the slides?
No, the slide's good. Can anyone see the slide or does that make it bigger?
Give me 1 second again. Hold on. Okay.
Okay. So we got the slide up. The first thing is resumes, do's and don'ts. The most important thing that people make mistakes on their resume is number 1, wording and formatting. You have no idea how hundreds of resumes I saw with spelling mistakes. And today's much easier because you have spell check, grammar check, spelling and formatting.
You okay,
Is-
love?
Can you see it, ma'am?
Ooh,
Spelling and
yeah,
formatting,
thank you.
wording, spelling and formatting is the most important thing. I've seen resumes that will have periods on all their sentences, and then one sentence doesn't have a period, and trust me, they can spot that. So you have to really spell check is your best friend, use it. And that the same as number 2, do not submit your resume without proofreading it first. Not just proofreading it, have a friend or family member proofread it because they always say 2 heads are better than 1. Let them look at it. Maybe there's something that you missed that they see. So make sure. And with formatting, number 3, fonts that are easy to read. I've seen people try to get fancy on their resumes using italic fonts or using bold fonts or try to be cute with their resumes. Please just keep it simple. Most people, when they write a Word document or an email in Outlook, it's Times New Roman. That's what it's usually set to. Please just use that. Don't be cute, don't be fancy, because they're gonna look at this and say, this person really thinks he's all that and a bag of chips, and they're gonna throw it out. Trust me, you'll see many resumes, do searches online, you'll see resumes that have all these different type of fonts and everything like that. Keep it simple, please, because they want to read it simple also. They want to be able to read it back and forth, up and down, nice and simple, not to go side to side, not to go in an angle and all that. Nice and simple. Now this is the number 1 reason why you won't get a job. We do not embellish or lie your qualifications. Now, if you read the news, we actually have a senator that's busy doing this, not trying to get political, right? But he keeps on getting caught in lies and lies because they catch it. Everyone would catch it. I have a friend that wrote on his resume, he has an MBA, a master's in business. Guess what? He didn't. 6 months later, they did background checks on a lot of the new employees. And guess what? He was fired because he lied. Also, embellishing just doesn't mean lying. if let's say you're a salesperson, on your resume, you wrote that you did $5 million in sales for the company for that year, and you really only did 1 million. Let me tell you something. The hiring manager is going to call your former employee and ask about you, and he's going to say, wow, this guy did $5 million in sales. Why are you getting rid of him? Why would he want to leave? And the employee would say, he only did 1 million in sales. That is a huge, huge lie. Also saying you manage 20 people when you don't manage anybody, or also saying that you're the vice president of the company or the division when you're really just a regular worker. These things will catch up to you, and not only will it haunt you from getting the job you apply for, but hiring managers, especially in the same fields, talk to each other. It will hurt you from getting a job at most other companies. Trust me, I have seen it. So please do not lie and embellish. I know everyone wants to try to look like a big shot and try to outdo the other person that is applying for the job, but it will just haunt you in the end. Now, tailor each resume to the job you're applying for. So if you're applying for a job at, let's say, Kosher Delight or McDonald's, tailor your resume towards that. Don't put on your resume, well, I type 50 words a minute and that I meet people in the conference room for meetings and all that, when you're really just going to become a manager at McDonald's. I'll just give an example. I know it's a pain that you constantly have to redo your resume because many people have jobs in different fields that they've done before in one field, then they switch to another field. So it is a pain, but especially when you're doing in the body of the resume your experience, tailor it for each job you are applying for. And like I said, all this stuff may be going fast and you may not get it right away. Like I said, I'm going to give my name and email address at the end. So any questions, any help you need with the resume, interviewing, I will be there with you every step of the way. Do not waste space on items that are relevant. Nobody wants to know that you were the point guard for your high school basketball team. Nobody wants to know that on the weekends you like to plant gardens. You know, they don't care. They want that stuff will come up on the interview. You can bring stuff up like that to ask. But on a resume, it's irrelevant stuff that the hiring manager does not want to care about. He wants to know exactly what you did with your job and what you want to do. So, you know, obviously putting on things that you volunteered for, that is fine. Volunteering work looks very, very good. And we'll discuss that later when it comes to interviewing on LinkedIn. That is fine. But stupid stuff, excuse my language, you know, that you don't have to write that you work on your, you know, your Mustang on the weekends, you know, or you travel to Cancun last week. They don't care. So please don't waste space on irrelevant stuff. Now, this is more, this next, you know, one, number 6, is more for people that only to work for us for a couple of years, because people that work for us for 20, 30 years probably would not be able to keep it to a single page. But if you can, try to weed out a lot of the stuff. Try to make it, you know, your fonts a little bit smaller. Try to keep it on a single page, 2 pages the most. I've seen resumes, unfortunately, some people that went from job to job. I got a resume a few weeks ago. The guy has 6 pages on his resume. No hiring manager, especially if they're getting a lot of resumes or busy, is going to look at 6 pages of a resume. Trust me, they're not. You don't have to put on every job from 30 years ago. They really want to see the jobs that were relevant for the last 4 or 5 years, or jobs that are relevant to what you're applying for. So if in 1975 you started your career as a school teacher, and now 2023 you do something else, you don't have to put that 1975 on. They're not going to ask about it. They're not going to care. So that's just wasted space. Don't make the font smaller to cram everything in one page. So keep it at a normal font because you want to put 6 pages on and you're putting on a font that the guy needs reading glasses or even like a microscope or a magnifying glass to look at it. You know, keep the font normal, try to fit whatever you can, but make it readable for the person. Now, the most important thing on this slide is to remember that writing your resume is that details matter. And we're going to go into the detailed stuff on the next slide. All right. We're going to do so. Please make all your notes now because we are going to take questions afterwards. And like I said, all these slides I can email to you afterwards if you want to use it while you're writing your resume. If I'm going too fast, please let me know because I know we have to cram this in 30, 45 minutes. But like I said, I'm available always afterwards. All right. Slide number 2. Now we're going to actually start working on the resume. The first thing you do on your resume is put your contact information. I've seen people's resumes that don't have their phone number or address, just their email and name. What are you trying to hide, right? Make sure to put your full name, your address, your email, and phone number. Why address? Also, a lot of people don't like to give addresses. I've seen it. Because if they have to send you correspondence, or they want to send you an acceptance letter, or they want to send you a package about their company before you come interview, how are they going to get it to you? You don't have your email, you don't have your address. You know, they're going to, especially benefits packages, a lot of them are still still mailed. Offer letters, they email, but then they also like to send the regular one in the mail. So if you're afraid that they're going to come to your house at night and haunt you, don't worry about it. They're not going to. So please put all the information on top of the page. Also, when you do all that information, don't make it go across one long line. Put your name right underneath that, your address, right underneath that, your email, right underneath that, your phone number. Why? Because look how easy it is to read. When someone puts their name all the way on the left and their phone number all the way on the right and their email address in the middle, I'm sure a lot of you have seen resumes like that or probably have resumes like that. It's too hard to read. Just make it cut and dry so the guy can go straight down and see it. Number 2, do not use your work address or phone number. The worst thing you can do is your boss doesn't know you're looking for a job, and then they call your company for a reference or to find out about you, or just to call you to make sure you're available for the interview tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and your boss picks up the phone and he doesn't know you're looking. Or they send correspondence to your work address, and the secretary of the firm gets the mail and gives it to your boss or hiring manager. He opens it and he sees, what is this? You didn't tell me. So please, we all have a private email. We all have a cell phone number for a reason. Use it. Now, number 3, we're going to talk about LinkedIn, even if not later, if there's no time, but I can definitely talk to you off the Zoom. If you have a LinkedIn profile, put it on your resume. Why do I tell you this? Today, especially in the scary world today, you don't know who you're talking to, who you're interviewing. Trust me, the hiring manager, the second he gets your resume and wants to give you an interview, he is going to your LinkedIn page, your profile, to see who you are. 1, to make sure that what you wrote, your work experience on your LinkedIn profile is the same on your resume. Because if not, that means that you're lying on one of the two. 2, they want to see a picture. Now, when I say picture, please have a professional picture on your LinkedIn. I was helping a guy with a resume, and I went to his LinkedIn page, so he was, and he has a picture of himself in a tank top on a beach. And he was going for a pretty high job. You think a guy that's going for a $200,000-$300,000 managerial job, the hiring manager wants to see that all you care about is just showing off your muscles on the beach or surfing? Have a nice picture. I'm not saying a suit, just a nice shirt, your hair brushed. You want to put in pictures of all your vacation and fun stuff? Use Facebook for that. Instagram. That's what it's for. LinkedIn is purely for professional reasons and professionals only. Have a nice looking picture. And trust me, do not say I don't want a picture on my LinkedIn. Put it on because because if you have a nice picture, you look presentable, and the hiring manager goes onto your LinkedIn and sees, wow, this guy really cleans up nicely, looks sharp, professional, hairbrush, this and that. It goes a long way. If they see no picture, they're gonna think, what are you hiding? So please put a picture. Number 4, and so many people do this because it's just wasting space. Remember how we said to not put stuff on it that would make it 4 or 5 pages? Do not leave references on the bottom of the page. I'll tell you why. One, it takes up space. And if you're trying to make your resume less info as possible, they try to fit in one page, takes up space. 2, when you fill out an application for the job, when you go for the interview and you have to fill out an application, even the minute jobs today, make you fill out an application, they're going to ask you for references on the application anyway. So why put it on the resume and waste space and time? It's going to be on the application anyway. So write it there. They don't need to see that your mother-in-law's first cousin is your reference. They'll see it on the application. So that is basically the contact information to put on your resume. Slide number 3. Work experiences, do's and don'ts. Highlight promotions or sales numbers. On your most recent job, let's say you're working at Chase Bank. I was going to say SVB Bank, but that's a bad joke right now because they're no longer around. So Chase Bank, let's say in your Chase Bank, you got a promotion from personal banker to business banker. Put that in when you do your bullet points. Working at JP Morgan Chase, I was promoted from assistant teller to branch manager. Put that in there. You know how good that looks for you? You have no idea. They're going to see that. They're going to say, wow. Or sales numbers. If you double the company's sales, or you save the company $50,000 in the first quarter, or if you work in a company where you hired 10 people within your first 6 months and grew the company exponentially, put that in the bullet point. Why wouldn't you? You'll be crazy not to. That looks so good for you and stands out for you. So please do that. Do not use cliches or jargon. I know everyone today, LOL, LMAO, whatever, the young people's jargon, young people's cliches, don't put that on your resume. Don't say, I worked for a company, LOL, for 2 years. No, don't put any stupid cliches. Don't put any jargons. Don't put any abbreviations. Spell it out. Now, when it comes to the work experience, do not write more than 2 to 3 bullet points. Okay? The hiring manager doesn't need to see 20 bullet points. How I open up the lights in the morning, or I clean out the fridge every Friday, or I put lollipops and pens and candy in the front. They don't need to do that. They want to see within 2, 3 bullet points of what you do. Obviously, if you have a job that's very detailed and entailed, doing many things, obviously you can add to that. But this is just another case in how we're trying to keep the resume smaller. So 2 to 3 bullet points would do the trick. Include any types of accomplishments that you had at your job. You won the award for Sales Guy of the Year. You won the Employee of the Month. You won the trip to Cancun out of 2,000 people that work in the company. Put that on there. Those type of accomplishments show that you're a good worker, a diligent worker. You want to grow with the company. You want to stay with the company. and you want to help them any way possible. So those are very important. And like I said before, work experience, do those like we did on slide number 1. Don't embellish or lie. Slide number 4, education. If your GPA was high, put it on your resume. When you write, I graduated from Harvard University with a 3.8, put the 3.8 GPA next to it. Because they're going to say, wow, this guy really tried hard in school. He really puts in the time, the work, and that's a guy we want. If your GPA was a 2, don't add that, because obviously they're not going to be happy with that. Do not include your high school if you have a college degree. I see many people that would say college, like a bachelor's at Queens College, underneath Torah Academy of Baltimore High School, 1980 to 1984. They don't care what high school you went to. The only time they want a high school is if you don't have college. But if you have college, or if you have, let's say, some sort of, let's say, you went for a 6-month program to cope for accounting, or you went to took a year class, a QuickBooks class, let's say, or something like that, put that on, but do not put your high school. They don't care. Now, where to put the education on the resume? If you're a recent grad, put it on the top of the resume because you're more recent and they want to see that you graduated or what your education is. If you graduated 20 years ago, put it on the bottom, because if you graduated, let's say 1980, we're in 2023 now, obviously they kept you have a degree, but it's not the first thing they're going to think about for 40 years before. They're going to look at the work experience. So education always goes on the bottom. If you graduated a long time ago, if you're a recent grad, show it off. Congratulations. Do not lie about where you went to school, GPA, or degree. Like I said in the beginning, how my friend lied about his MBA and he got caught. Don't lie about the school. And if you went to the school, let's say for a year, but you didn't graduate, don't put, I went to Queens College from 1980 to 1982 with a degree in, let's say, sociology. You didn't get the degree. Do not lie where you went to school. Do not lie about your GPA. Do not lie about your degree. Trust me, not only yes, they do background checks, but a lot of jobs don't, but it could hurt you because you can become friends with someone in the company. You think they're your friend. You start talking to them, you become friends, you go out, have a couple of drinks, and you start talking and say, oh, by the way, I really didn't go to the school and all that. Unfortunately, people have big mouths, and many companies are looking out for themselves. They're going to go to your high manager and say, by the way, did you see that Sally said she went to St. John's University and she really didn't, and unfortunately, people look out for themselves mostly when it comes to jobs. They will tell on you. So please be very careful with that. Slide number 5. And like I said, everybody, I prepared this in 10 minutes, so I'm missing a lot of information. So like I said, afterwards we can talk. We talked about the references upon request. Do not put that on. But have a list of references ready on a separate page, just in case they ask. Because let's say you send your resume for a job. They call you up and they say, we want to interview you, but first, can we have some references? Because sometimes they ask that. Most of the time, it's really on the job application. But let's say they just want to reference it to, or let's say, oh, I know that company, I know the person there. Have a list of references ready. Don't, when the high manager, when the guy calls up and says, I want to interview you, I want to offer you the job, do you have references? Don't start scrolling through your phone while you're on the phone with him, looking for their email addresses, looking for the address and all that. Have it ready. And do not list a reference or give a reference to someone without asking them. Because someone can be getting a call and let's say they're busy making dinner or they're in a bad mood. You think they're going to have the time or say nice things. Someone had a really bad day. Let's say they lost $500,000 in the stock market at the end of a car accident. And they get caught off guard that someone's calling them for reference. You didn't tell them. You really think the guy, one, is either going to give the hiring manager time of day, or two, you think he's going to say nice things? Please make sure that you tell the people. And look, many people don't want to give their hiring manager or their boss as a reference, especially if they know, you're leaving, they don't know you're leaving, or if they didn't really like you, get along with you, they're not going to say the best things. Unfortunately, that's what some people are. So when it comes to references, they would understand if you don't want to give your boss, but try to give someone that's a higher up there that you're friends with. Don't give, let's say don't give the person, the lunch lady or the janitor or the security guard as a reference. Give someone that you work with or you're friends with there, because they're going to look out for you, but make sure they know beforehand they're going to be calling. Now that's a lot of stuff. Trust me, there's a lot of stuff we didn't talk about because, like I said, we don't have really time for that. But I just went online to find 2 resumes. This is the first resume. This is not a good resume. I'll tell you why. Remember when we talked about how to have the address, email, everything under one right center? Look at this guy. Has his address to the left, phone number to the left, email to the right. You see how hard it is to read? See how you have to scroll across to see it? So that's what I'm talking about. There's the first thing I'm showing you not to do. Qualifications are summary. We didn't talk about this, but I'm going to tell you this now. Don't say what your qualification summary is, because that's in the body of the email already. People make that mistake. What professional people, good resume writers put on is an objective. What are you looking to do in your next position? Not that, like, see, it says here to obtain the software engineer and apply many years of work experience and skills. Yes, but you don't write summary, because that's not a summary. That's what he's looking to do. That's an objective. So that's a mistake. He's writing qualification summary, but he's looking to obtain a position as software engineer. That's an objective. You put that, what he wrote is fine, but the word is objective, not summary. Selected accomplishments. Turning difficult complexity into smaller presentations, outstanding presentational communication methods, great time manager. Are you kidding me? They expect everyone to be a great time manager. They expect everyone to collaborate well with the team. If you don't, why would they hire you? So when we talk about accomplishments, we talked about getting an award for the best employee of the month. We talked about making sales from 1 million to 5 million. Outstanding presentational. If you didn't have outstanding presentational, they wouldn't want you. So why would a guy put this stuff on a resume? And unfortunately, probably 30% of the resumes that I look at to help write this stuff, works well with people, comes to work on time. They don't want to hear that because they expect that already from you. So already this guy's resume is already bad. Now, professional experience, company name, good. You always want to put the company name in bold. Okay. City, state, never put that on. They don't care because it's just a waste of space. If they heard of the company, they know where it is, or they can just Google it, sit in space. Okay. Dates, that's another problem. Present, the dates, you want to move over to the right. It's too bunched together. See how the company name and then right away has its date and all that? It's too bunched together. So what you do is you put company name in bold. Where it says city and state, you put your job title, VP of management. So company name in bold, regular font, job title, all the way to the right, the dates. It's just too bunched together. See, he puts the job title all the way down at the city and state, like he skipped like 3 lines. Wrong, because now you're just taking up extra space again. Company name right underneath job title dates. Now, if you guys are looking for something, if you didn't spot it, I spotted it right away. I don't know if anybody is here with the speaker, but look at the resume, the first page. Tell me something that stands out that we talked about right off the bat. I mean, obviously it's easy because it's underlined. Utilization spelled wrong. You see that? I don't know if anybody caught that, but I was able to catch that in 2 seconds, and the high manager is going to catch that too. So you see in the second job title, so utilization required more in-depth knowledge. Utilization is spelled wrong. Trust me, you can see that. I'm sure if Avi looked at this resume for 1 minute because he's very detail-oriented, he would have spotted that too. So that shows that he didn't take any time. So far, if you see this guy's resume is full of plenty of bad things. Now go to the second page of the resume. Education is fine. School name fine. Bachelor degree major. That's fine. Programming is fine. Okay, so the second part he did pretty good. But if you see the first page is all a lot of mistakes that, trust me, the hiring manager is going to look at that. Now we're going to go to the second resume, Alex. Alex has some good things and bad things. I'm going to point out the bad and the good. Like we said, he didn't put his last name, which, by the way, this is resumes I took from the internet of real people. They're just real people. Again, his address and everything is all across too much. But if you see what he did put his LinkedIn. So that's a good thing. If you see, look at his job, 10 years of experience in detail, a proven track record, excels. We said again, no, you put an objective. You don't put what you did because that's the body of work. You said you should put 10 years experience as a software engineer with a proven track record, looking to maintain a opportunity with a tech company to be able to grow their analytics and design. That's an objective. The high manager is going to look at that objective and say, oh my gosh, he wants to help grow design. That's what we want to do. We just want to do. So objective. Core competencies, those look what he wrote, working with clients. Of course you're gonna work. If you have a job working with clients, of course they expect you to work with clients. It's just core kind of wasted stuff. And if you see here put software analyst design and all that, that is okay, but the working with clients is bad. Now professional experience. He did it right for part of it. The company name, though, should be on top of the software developer. We said that in the resume before. Company name, then what his job was. The only thing he did get right is he put his dates all the way to the right. You see his dates are more to the right. And by the way, guys, talking about dates, please, if you have 4 or 5 jobs in your resume, please make sure the dates line up exactly. Don't have one date 50 spaces to the right, and then one date 10 spaces to the right, and then the third job you have 3 spaces. Line it up perfectly. But you see, this guy put the company name right next to software developer. It's too much to read. It's too. You see how, Abby? Do you see how it's like all bunched together? You see how it's hard to read? It's too much. Have it nice and easy. So, like we said, company name in bold, not the job. The company name in bold. So developer dates to the right. Okay. But what he did was, if you look at his third job, data and he put that on. Look, deliver 35% of the product earlier than projected. That's an accomplishment. You see how this guy put his accomplishments in his body of work? That is a perfect thing. Education on the bottom. That's right, because like we said, if you graduated early, it goes on top. You see this guy started working in 2007, so that means he has 16 years of experience. So education on the bottom, which is right. Tech skills on the bottom, yes. And everybody, please put tech skills on your resume on the bottom. A tech skill is not, I know how to turn my computer on. A tech skill, any type of tech, even if it's a program that only your company uses. Put it on. I will tell you why, because there's a software, accounting software called AccountMate, that maybe 10% of companies around the world use it. I had a friend that went for an interview and his old company used AccountMate. He was actually on the interview and he was overlooking someone's computer and saw before he went into the interview and saw they're using AccountMate. When he went into the job interview and he said to the hiring manager, "Oh, by the way, I see you using AccountMate." The guy's like, "You know AccountMate?" He's like, "Yeah, I use it at my own company." The guy got the job in 2 minutes because why? He knows the system and they don't have to hire someone to spend time training. Only, like I said, only 10% of companies use it. But the fact that he had it on there got him the job. So any type of text, I don't care if you write, you know how to use Word, Outlook. Don't put using Instagram or Facebook. That's not a tech skill. But Word, Adobe, type 50 words a minute. Things like that work perfect, really, really stands out. Now, I know that, this is a 45-minute class, so I do apologize. We're not going to be able to get into the interviewing part of it because I know a lot of people have things to do tonight. So if Avi ever wants to have another class, but like I said, I would like to give you my email and my phone number, because if you are going for an interview and you need interviewing help or mock interview, I would spend all the time in the world doing it for you, whether it's day or night. And if you have a resume that you need help with, I don't type up the resumes for you because you have to do some work, but I will help you word it, format it, grammar, bullet points, what to put in, whatever you need. So Avi, I'm sorry we don't have time for the interview part because it's like you're already 8:20 and I went over. But can I give them my email address or do we write it on the screen or how do we do it? My phone number and email. How should
Sure.
we do
So,
this?
so if you give it to me, I could send it out. I just have two questions if you have a minute, Richard,
100%.
based on your presentation. So first of all, and anybody else who has a
And I'm
question
sorry
afterwards.
it went so fast. It's just, we're limited time and it's so, I said I can go on for 3 hours. There's so much information.
Thank you, thank you.
I have a question. If somebody, let's say, if somebody has gaps in their career, right? And let's say they had a job, they didn't have a job. How would you? Now, of course, they're not going to embellish and say they either
Right, especially
ended longer.
right.
So,
Right, that's
so
a
what do you
great
suggest they do if they have a 2-year gap, let's say, in which they weren't working?
Right, so that's a great question. So what I would do is, let's say he worked from 2007, 2009, and then he stopped working, and then he started working in 2012, right? So put the 2007, 2009, then put 2012. They're going to ask you, don't write. I've seen people write, took off time to be a mother, took off time to take care of a child. You can tell the truth. 2007, 2009, I worked at McDonald's. Nothing for 2 years. Then the next job, 2011, 2013, worked at Burger King. You can skip that space and I work for 2 years. All right, because you don't want to hide anything. You don't want to lie. So when they do ask you, why is there a gap? Then you can tell them the truth. But don't write on your gap on the resume what you were doing. I took off 2 years to tour Brazil. I took off 2 years. So it's fine. Gaps are fine. They know today, especially in today's economy, with COVID, with the unemployment, with the uncertainty of the job market. Since 2008, since the market crashed, there have been thousands of people that have been going from job to job to job. The high managers get it. So you can leave a gap. They understand today. Trust me, they understand. Because I guarantee you a lot of these high managers, especially during the last couple of years, what's going on, they have gaps also. So that's fine.
Got it. I mean,
Just
and also
make
to your
sure,
point,
make sure when you're on the interview that your gap dates to right and that you tell them why you have that gap. Be prepared for that.
right? Got it. And I'm assuming also, even to something, and as you said, to spend time with my family, if it's like more of like an excuse, if you couldn't find the job and you're making excuses, if like, I certainly don't offer the information that they're gonna look at it.
Don't offer unless they ask, but that shows you say took off 2 years to spend time with my family. That shows laziness. You can say, I got laid off
Or
from my last
excuses.
job. Yeah, excuse me. I got laid off from my last job, and I did everything possible. I sent the resumes. I even updated myself on company policy, this and that. Even if you did spend time with your family, don't lie, but at least try to show that you tried. Like when you sign up for unemployment, do you know that they technically can ask you and bring you down and ask you if you're looking for a job and if you apply for jobs, and they ask you to show proof? Many people get caught with that. They want to see that you at least apply for 2-3 jobs that did work. Trust me, you don't believe me? Read the unemployment guidelines. They have every right to do that. So just like when you're looking for a job, spend family time, don't be lazy. If you hit the lottery, then it's fine.
Okay, and then one more question. If your resume, let's say, you've only had, let's say, 2 jobs, and your resume is not going to be as robust as it'll be, let's say, a half a page or 3/4 of a page.
Right.
Should you try to like add bullet points or?
Yes, not just to add bullet points. You can make the font 1 or 2 bigger. And also you can add some spaces. If you look at Alex's resume, you see how he has everything bunched up together. You can maybe, skip, like, let's say core competencies, and then, professional experience is right underneath. Move it 2 lines down. You can leave a little space in between to fill up the page. Don't leave 20 lines, but 100% you can add 2 lines, skip 2 lines down, and in between each job title he did, skip a line. So this way that it fills up the resume. There's nothing wrong with that. You can make the font a little bit bigger. Don't make it like an eyesore, but you can add the font 2 to 3 or 4 to make it a little bigger to fill up the page. If the page is only 3/4, that's fine, but you don't want to have like a half a page or a quarter of a page. So that is definitely fine to do.
Right, terrific. And then one last point. I mean, when I myself was looking for a job, a friend of mine who works in HR for a large company, and he literally sees hundreds of resumes on a weekly basis. He mentioned to me, he said, not only your resume is something that convinces people to give you the job, but don't have anything on the resume that would convince them otherwise. Just be cognizant of the fact that there may be some things over there that are irrelevant, but there may be things in there that are a detractor. And that's a key point. And I mean, and even as you mentioned that, let's say the font and all that, not only isn't it professional, but it's and not going to give you a leg up on the others, but it's going to be a detractor. It's gonna make you seem lazy and just like, and you're just trying to shoot from the hip.
Like we said with the LinkedIn picture, it's irrelevant that you're on the beach on a horse riding in the sunset, right? That's irrelevant. They want to see something relevant, that you're sharp with a tie and all that. It's stupidity.
Right.
So 100%. Do we have time for questions? Or like you said, if they have questions, Avi, give them my email address, phone
Yeah.
number.
Questions.
I have one question.
Please? Yes,
Avi, do we have time, or should they call me or email me afterwards? What do you want to do?
No, they certainly have time. If you have time, then we could
I have time.
continue
Go
the
ahead.
conversation.
Go
It's an
ahead.
amazing conversation.
So I have a question. If
Yeah,
I'm
Shelley,
moving
please.
from, sorry.
Yes. I'm here.
Shelley?
Moving from one profession to
yes,
different profession,
yes,
should I
what?
mention it on my resume? Let's say I have degree in different field, and I'm now looking for different job in different field. What should I do about my profession experience and my degrees? What should I?
Right. So definitely, is there anything relevant from the first field to the second field, or nothing relevant at all?
Nothing, because I'm moving from social work to now do QuickBook, for example.
Right. So I would really, really want you to put the social work on too, because I tell you why. Because a lot of companies do background checks, so they're going to see that where you worked beforehand. They're going to see it. So they're going to think, why you hired. Even if you go for something different, the fact that you were a social worker shows that you're smart, shows that you work well with people, shows that you have time, you're good time diligence, all that. So even if it's not for the job you're going for now, just the fact that you have that professionalism and experience would stand out to the hiring manager to say, hey, stuff like this, okay, she's not going to be dealing with kids with special needs and all that, with social worker or drug addiction. But the fact that she just is able to maintain professionalism because she was a social worker, the fact that she's able to, coerce with people, talk to them and all that, that's going to look good for your QuickBooks job where you go. So I would definitely put that on because it's something professional that they will like.
Even if I don't have any experience in the QuickBooks, it's okay?
Yeah, because if you don't have any experience in QuickBooks, I mean, it's not easy to get a job, but just put on your resume that you're a professional social worker and all that. Now to get a job with the QuickBooks, I mean, that's a little harder because you have no QuickBooks experience. So something like that is you're gonna have to try to get a leg in with somebody, because if you're gonna go for a company that does QuickBooks and you have no QuickBooks experience, but hey, you do have a certificate in QuickBooks from the JCC class, right?
Yes.
So you put that on you put your social work information, and then after you say completed a 6-hour whatever QuickBooks course to the JCC of Staten Island, Long Island, whatever, a certificate. So you put both on, because one, now you have the QuickBooks experience, you have the certificate, and two, you have the professionalism of being a social worker and working well with others. So definitely, that's how I would do it.
I mean, and to that
Thank
point,
you.
Richard, I mean, I'll mention also, in this, you really never know what speaks to the hiring manager or what speaks to a company, right? QuickBooks is something which they have it in real estate businesses, yet they also have them in social working businesses.
Right, they have it in schools and
They have it
organizations.
in schools, right?
Right,
So-
in
so-
Yellow Yowder and AIM and HASK and all these places, they have QuickBooks 100%.
So that might be just a leg up in the outfit over somebody else. It's like, wait a minute, here's somebody. Yes, she may not have experience specifically in QuickBooks, but she has experience in social work, and that's what we're about. Our organization, we're an organization. It's HASK, let's say it's OHELP, and they know social work. And like, wait a minute, if somebody has experience and understands our mission and our background of our company. Yes, it may not necessarily be the X and O's all the time. Just having that background is very, very impactful. And then also, again, you never know. Could be the hiring manager
Right,
themselves.
right.
or
The
a
hiring
social
manager
worker.
can have a social worker for his son, or his daughter can be a social worker, his wife, his aunt.
and it speaks
Oh,
to
hey,
them.
we have something to talk about.
Right, and it resonates with them.
Right.
100%.
Yes,
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
yeah,
No problem.
thank you. So my question is, one very quick, what's the best number of the font size? But more importantly, can you speak to cover letters?
Cover letters. Today, cover letters are really for people that are going for more high-powered, more executive jobs.
Okay,
Most people that I know going for the regular 70 to 100, 120, working in like nursing homes and working this. I'm not talking about Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, all that. They don't really use cover letters these days. I tell you honestly, when I did headhunting, I maybe saw 20% of the cover letters. It's something that people don't really use today.
okay.
Maybe 10 years ago, but I don't really think you need cover letters these days. I really don't think,
Mhm.
you need it, because what you did, what you do in your job is in your resume ready. So cover letter is just saying the same thing over as your resume.
Mhm.
So why would they want to spend time reading a cover letter when the same stuff in the cover letter is in your resume?
Mhm.
So I really don't think you need a cover letter today.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so Avi, so you're going to be able to email them my email address and phone number. And like I said, if anyone has any questions, need help with anything, I will be available for you except for Shabbos.
All right, terrific. And Rich, if you could say it in 5 minutes, just about interview.
Oh, 100%.
If
100%.
everyone could bear with us for just a few
See,
minutes. just
Avi,
some
I wish I
important
could
points which
find
we
my
discussed.
articles I wrote for the Jewish Echo about interviewing. Guys, here's a couple of points on interviewing. One, dress professional. Even if you're going for a job as a janitor or the school cook, dress professional. Two, and this is very, very big, especially, you know, for the, especially in today's world, do not wear cologne or perfume. One, you may put on too much. Two, who knows there who's allergic to it, right? I know you like to wear cologne perfume, or if women like to put on a lot of makeup and all that. Please keep it simple. Please don't wear cologne. If you're a smoker, don't smoke before you go on the interview. The worst thing is that they either go with smell like smoke or smell like you sprayed cologne on before you went in because you smoked. It's a terrible thing. Also, I'm not making fun. Please make sure you if you're going to have a coffee before the interview, let's say you're nervous, you're going to Starbucks before you interview, have a coffee. Please take some mouthwash or mint or toothpaste with you. Go into the bathroom in the Starbucks before you go to the interview. Nothing worse than having someone have coffee breath or they had a tuna sandwich because while they wait for the interview. Please, when you do go in, always show up at least 15 minutes early. Why? Because they're going to have paperwork for you to fill out. You don't want to show up the minute your interview is, and then you have to sit there filling out paperwork for 20 minutes, and then Heimer's like, well, our interview was supposed to be 20 minutes ago. Do not show up late, and if you are late, do not give stupid excuses why you were late. Oh, the bus got this. Make sure you give yourself plenty of time. Like I said, give yourself even an hour beforehand and sit there on the corner waiting before you interview. Do not show up late. It's the worst thing possible. And when you do go on the interview, if you're giving them a handshake, if you are, I might say women don't, whatever, but give them a firm handshake. And when they do speak to you on the interview, look them in the eye. Don't look down at your buttons. Don't look down at your pants, your dress, to the side. Don't look at if they have nice flowers to the side. Keep perfect eye contact with them, always. And this is the most important thing. Shut your phone. Not on vibrate. Shut your phone on an interview. Please, I beg you. Because even the vibrate will bang against the chair and they will hear it. So please do that. Also, whenever you do finish the interview, always make sure you get their email address or card and all that, and write, not that minute, later on that night or the next day, write a follow-up saying, thank you so much for meeting with me. I'm very interested in the opportunity. Is there anything else I should know or do you need from me? It looks so good to follow up afterwards. They're going to think it's so nice. And last point, because I can go on with 100 points out, like I said, 5 minutes, do research about the company before you go in. Because there's nothing better that a hiring manager or boss likes to hear is good stuff about his company. Oh, hi, Mr. Jones. I read that your company just went public 2 weeks ago, or I read that you just did a takeover of some multi-billion-dollar company. He'll be like, wow, you actually spent the time to do some research on our company. And also do some research on a hiring manager on LinkedIn. That's what it's for. I have a friend that went for an interview, and he found out that on the guy's LinkedIn, he was a Washington Redskins football fan. On the interview, he says, oh, by the way, I just happened to notice, did you catch the Redskins game? Oh, wow, how do you know about the Redskins? The guy would be so amazed that you took the time to find out about him and the company. I guarantee you the 20 people afterwards interviewing you will be shot through the door because you're going to get the job. That's in a nutshell. There's a lot more, but that's in a nutshell.
Oh, amazing.
Avi, did those points sound good? I mean, like, because I guarantee you, Avi, when you interview people, I'm sure you saw a lot of these mistakes people made.
Yeah, I think one of the key things, and this is what it comes down to mostly, is professionalism, right? That's what people want.
100%.
And they want
Even
effort.
if you're going for a job, sweeping the streets, professionalism stands out.
I've seen people with the best resume, the best experience, but I mean, anybody who also hires, so you also have to remember they're looking for an employee, for a hard worker. They're looking the attitude and the personality. I'm not sure if it takes precedence over work experience, but it's certainly up there to get together with it. And so many lazy things could be avoided by just taking the extra minute, the extra time to look over the resume one more time.
Right.
Just look it over once
Because
more.
Avi, they're going to
Ask
have
somebody
you work,
else to look at it.
right? They're going to have you work with professionals in the company, so they want you to be professional with them. They don't want you to be at odds with other people you're working with because you're not in tune with what they're doing. Obviously, people can be individuals, but you accompany a team together, not individuals. You want to do individual, you want to color your nail polish pink, or you want to color your hair purple, do it at home or after work. They want someone that can work with them and do with them exactly what they do.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, thank you, Richard. Could we just get your information down and I'll send it all out together with the slides.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Like I said, anybody, any questions, I am always available, unless I'm sleeping, and I will work with you. And like I said, if you do have an interview coming up and you need, a mock interview, or if you do get a job offer and you want to negotiate vacation, salary, sick, whatever, I've done that all. There's also questions that we didn't go over that are illegal to ask, and not allowed to ask anymore, like, for instance, just ended with this, they're not allowed to ask what salary you're looking for. They're really not. They can say, so ballpark, what do you really want to be with this? But they're not allowed to straight ask out how much you're looking for. That was a law that came out a couple of years ago. So things like that I can work on with you.
I have a question.
Also, age discrimination.
Yeah.
Age discrimination is also, of course, they can't do that. Unfortunately, people do it, but they can't. But that's a whole thing. You're gonna have to ask a legal person, a lawyer, if it comes down to that, which I'm not.
I have a question. What if
Yes.
you've been hired, you got your, okay, at what point, let's say you've had a vacation plan, right?
Yes.
And you want to negotiate. When do you do that?
Good point, because I had that same problem when I took this job like 7 years ago as an HR finance at the medical supply company. I booked a vacation beforehand, going a month afterwards. So you don't tell them on the interview,
Right.
but do not, because they're going to say, forget it. Once you get the offer letter,
Right.
before you sign it, you can tell them, by the way, I just want to let you know, I did book this family vacation, or Pesach is coming up and I'm going to Florida, Israel. I want to be say this, I want to be upfront and honest with you. Use those words, because that will resonate with them. I want to say, this was planned beforehand. I'm so happy I got the job. I don't want it to hinder my, getting the job, but be upfront with them when you get the offer letter, not on the interview, never, because you're not going to get the job. But just be honest and upfront when you get the offer letter. Tell them it was planned beforehand. I told them also, since I'm going away 2 weeks after I start the job, please, is there anything I can take with me on the vacation that I can read? Or is there any work I can take a laptop with me and take a couple of hours out, for vacation? I could take like 2-3 hours out. Or is there anything you need me to follow up with? Or do you want me to call in? That shows that you really want to work with them, work for them, and it shows professionalism. Don't just go on vacation and say, goodbye, I'll see you in 2 weeks from now.
Right. Okay, great.
Show them you mean business.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So Avi, thank you so much again. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to JC, and Avi was sending the information out. And like I said,
Thank you
anything
very
you
much.
need, please, I'm all here for you.
Thank you. Mr.
Amazing.
Okay, great.
Amazing.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you,
Have
Avi.
a wonderful night, everybody. Have a
Thank you,
Chag Kosher
Mr.
Sameach.
You too.
too.
Thank you. Good night.
You too. Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.